Meanwhile, Mike Norvell continuing to build a long-term, consistent winner in Tallahassee, and weekend events like this past one is what it takes to do just that. The Noles hosting an elite camp for prospects from 2025 and beyond. Now we have somebody who was there joining the show now. Let's welcome in National College Football analyst Bud Elliott, and you can catch him on the Cover 3 podcast. Bud, the number one player in the class of 2026 was there, quarterback Faizon Brandon. How'd he look?
He looked great. It was a pretty nice event, to be honest. I wasn't sure how it was going to go because we had overtime 7-on-7 with the national title going on over the weekend, and we also had all these official visits happening all over the country. But when I saw the expected list, like, okay, I got to leave OT7. I've already been here for 3 days. Drive up to Tallahassee. Faizon Brandon looks like the real deal. I'm really excited about this 2026 quarterback class. I think there are more names at the top to get excited about than we have in the 25 class. And I mean, just the build, the arm, I think it's a nice consistent stroke. The ball comes off his hand pretty clean. And he's obviously, as you see, pretty athletic as well. I mean, he has the look, and granted, there's a long way off, but the look of a guy who, if he continues to progress, to mature, to learn the game, is a guy that's going to be, a top end of the draft type player. So it was great to see him in person.
And once again, he is part of the class of 2026, so it'll be a while before he's making his college decision. But our Tom Loy already has a crystal ball in for him to land at Tennessee. So we'll keep an eye on how his visit went in Tallahassee. Who else made it worth the trip, Bud? Who else impressed at this camp?
I got to say, Tony Tokars did a great job with the quarterback room. And another headliner to know, 2026 quarterback Diabell, a little bit smaller than Brandon, but hey, maybe still grow. His dad obviously played in the NBA, but he's a guy who plays very good competition in South Florida and is really able to stroke it and is pretty athletic as well. So, again, another 2026 name to keep an eye on. And the Noles, there was a pretty loaded day of quarterbacks, even some 27 and 28 guys to know about in the future there. Another guy to point out that I know 247 Sports has a really high grade on. I know it's still early for the 2026 class, but out of Gainesville, Georgia, Xavier Griffin. Certain dudes just have the look, and this guy has the look. We have him listed as a linebacker. I project him to grow into an edge player eventually. We've got to project with 26. His get off the edge and ability to bend at full speed and not lose his balance was pretty nuts. Like, FSU had a nice crop of offensive linemen there on the day, and he smoked them. So, oh, okay, yeah, that looks like a future pro player right there with Xavier Griffin, as you see here on the clips. Pretty violent with the hands, and he is twitched up. So that was definitely the guy that I had the most focus on.
That's why I kicked off the segment by saying 2025 and beyond. A lot of future prospects out there, too, but as we all know, you gotta start on them early there. Speaking of early, you look at Florida State's current recruiting ranking. They're at 54, which could cause some panic. But again, as we know, this thing, it takes a while to develop. So who are some prospects and some names, some visits that we should keep an eye on as far as the future for Florida State recruiting this summer?
Sure. So they're pretty focused on, North Florida, Georgia. It's kind of spot recruiting South Florida this year. I think South Florida is a bit down compared to some years where it's like clearly the most talented area in the country. Khalil Lockett, a receiver out of Texas who just took a visit to Texas A&M, is scheduled to make a visit to Florida State later on this month. He's a guy, Mike Norvell, from the state of Texas. This staff has a lot of ties to the state of Texas, and they clearly have a need at the receiver position. So he's a guy to keep an eye on. Burnell Brown III as well. It was thought to be kind of an Ohio State plus one of the Florida schools battle. The vibes I get are kind of more of a Gators-Noles battle on that one. Can't count out the Buckeyes, obviously, when we're talking receivers, but that's another pretty important one to watch. And then some offensive linemen. Ty Haywood and Josh Petty as well are guys who I think have a lot of upside, and the Noles they've done a nice job recruiting there. I wouldn't worry too much about being 52nd in the recruiting rankings right now. It is so volume-based at this point, but are you getting good quality players on your campus? Are you making those impressions and kind of sorting out the board, see where everybody wants to go, as you see here on tape of these offensive linemen, making some pretty nice blocks. Wow, that was pretty good there. So I think we'll probably see them be okay. They're unlikely to be a team that's going to finish at the very top of the high school ranks because they do also kind of have that dual emphasis with the portal, and they're just not going to take 25 guys at high school, most likely. So maybe a kind of mid-teens in terms of number of commits in the class, save some spots for the portal that they've done pretty well with, and we'll see how that goes.
Thank you, Bud. For more Florida State coverage, check out Noles 24/7. The guys, they have tons of stuff from over the weekend, and they get you ready for the upcoming season.